War Horse is one of Spielberg's most bizarre movies. I once quipped that it's the movie that goes from My Little Pony to Saving Private Ryan in 90 minutes, and while that's clearly a joke, I don't think it's that far off. The beginning is almost absurdly cute, and as soon as we get to the trenches, we at least sense the fury we know Spielberg is capable of, and that I think he almost strains to rein in a bit. We get a sense of this all throughout Spielberg's post-Private Ryan work, in Munich, in Lincoln, in The Post, that Spielberg can't help himself from going back to directing warfare, but that he can only allow himself a few minutes of it, lest he gets swept along by the pure force of it and it takes over the entire film. I must admit, I kind of want that to happen, but I still like War Horse, even though I'm not really sure the movie is very well written or even has a particularly good story. I'm just not sure I'm entirely convinced of the inordinate love everyone bears for this, to my eyes, perfectly ordinary horse. So to make the horse the symbol of the innocence threatened by the onset of war doesn't work nearly as well as making Matt Damon that same symbol. The thing that makes the film work, and I still really think it works, is the landscape, and Spielberg really revels in it. You can feel the infatuation he has for it in the frame. The landscape becomes for the viewer, I think, what the horse becomes to the boy. A worthy symbol of that innocence. I mean, when we get to this part, this is just absurdly overdone, but I still love it, I can't help it. There's a wonderful documentary about Cecil B. DeMille, and of course Spielberg shows up in it, and he has this to say.
No one got near the DeMille style. No one dared to. They probably were embarrassed a little bit by walking not only in his giant shadow, but by treading in an area that didn't make other filmmakers comfortable. That kind of operatic style.
In War Horse, we finally get the sense of Spielberg embracing his own DeMille-like sense of opera, without any shame at all, and it's exactly the shamelessness of this that I love so much. Spielberg's greatest achievement in cinema history may in the end be to have merged the two utterly dissimilar sentiments of, on the one hand, Francois Truffaut, and on the other, Cecil B. DeMille. As idiotic as that sounds. Lincoln is at least an extremely well-written film, courtesy of the fine dramatist Tony Kushner, who likewise penned Munich for Spielberg, and who has now become one of his closest co-workers. Occasionally it might even be too well-written. I could have used a bit more basic explanation of the workings of Congress in the 1860s, but that's on me rather than the film. I do think I grasp the central argument put to Lincoln by the Confederate Vice President, played slyly by Jackie Earle Haley.
How have you held your union together? Through democracy. How many hundreds of thousands have died during your administration? Your union, sir, is bonded in cannon fire and death.
The central line is, how have you held your union together? It takes on a certain weight after the movie has shown us the occasionally deceptive methods Lincoln has resorted to in order to pass the amendment. Lincoln's reply also doesn't strike me as entirely convincing, or indeed convinced.
But say all we've done is show the world that democracy isn't chaos, that there is a great invisible strength in a people's union. Say we've shown that a people can endure awful sacrifice and yet cohere. Mightn't that save at least the idea of democracy to aspire to?
The thing Lincoln by his countenance has shown rather more throughout the film is his weariness and growing impatience with the political process.
You will procure me these votes.
For a noble cause, yes, but still impatience. The perhaps finest thing about Daniel Day-Lewis's genuinely great performance is the constant note of melancholy he captures in the man. The suggestion is that the wisdom and melancholy were inseparable. Consequently, the thing that moves me most about the film is the strained relationship with the elder son, played just wonderfully by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's the one that stands out for me in a movie almost absurdly filled with great acting.
I have to do this, and I will, or I will feel ashamed of myself for the rest of my life. Whether or not you fought is what's gonna matter, and not just to other people, but to myself. I won't be you, Pa, I can't do that, but I don't want to be nothing.
I could have taken a bit more of this. Lincoln as portrayed is so captivating a character that I could have easily taken just more of his personal relations and less of simply his politics. But that's due to an embarrassment of riches.